camera because I'm doing two events at one time. So I'm doing an in-person seminar in Prince George's County, and I'm logging into the webinar. But you're in good hands. Um, part one was great, Mac. Thank you for this, and go ahead. I'm going to hand it on over to you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. As I always say, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to add value because it's the most valuable resource that you have, and you're handing it over to me. You can be anywhere in the world. And hopefully, what I impart on you today is going to be of value, and you can take it and run with it. And if you don't want to run with it, you come to me and ask me, and we will help you to implement it. My name is Mac Audina. I am partner with MBA Growth Partners. We are a small business minority firm. We operate primarily to help small Black businesses grow. And we do that in multiple different ways. We do process improvement, we do launch, we do, from start to the end. I'm an attorney by practice and by education. So we do incorporation all the way up to exit, because everyone has to exit at some point. One of the reasons that I am now focused on lead generation is because all businesses, if you're in business, you have to generate leads in order to have sales. And sales is what we're in business for. Because whether it's for profit or nonprofit, in some way, shape, or form, you're doing sales. And so, obviously, if you have the means, you can go and hire somebody else to do it. But ultimately, one way or another, you're going to be doing sales, whether it's your product or service or you're selling yourself. And so it's very important to know how to get the people who are going to be interested in your product or service. All right, so this is the second part of this three-part series. In the first part, I did a presentation. For those of you who have not watched it, I'm going to put a link to where you can see the first part. And I'm going to also do a brief sort of recap of what I talked about. Mainly, the reason why most of us don't get leads, the reason why most of us don't excel in a lot of things, and that's fear, right? We fear rejection. We fear that we are imposters. So it's a fear known as the imposter syndrome. And so we don't do the things that are necessary to go out and get the leads. And one of the things that I've recognized from being in business, watching my partner go out and get the leads is, even as an introvert, which we both are, she is out there confident about going out for the leads. And so, we talked about all of the different ways for you to overcome those fears. And then I talked about the various different means of lead generation and landed on the main one, which we'll go over on the third part, which is ads and how I go about providing the ads. In this workshop, what I want to do is I want to select someone to go through the process with me. I had selected someone who was not able to make it. But before I do that, I want to just tell you precisely all of what I do and in the order in which I do it. So first, let's talk about ads, right? So most of us, especially in a traditional community, what we do is we go out and we network, right? And most people network because it doesn't take the money out of your pocket, right? And so you don't see the money coming out because as soon as you see the money coming out, you're like, when is the money going to come back in? And what I try to explain to people is that the monies that you're spending, you don't see that you're spending it, but your time, the value that you place on your time, if you were to do it, is way more than the money that you'll put on an ad. So let's say, for example, you go to a networking event, you have 10 people that you meet. And if you're doing really diligently, if you come up with 10 cards, you probably did really well that night, right? You meet 10 people, and that took you an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And then you also had to drive there. So, depending on how far away it is, you spent that time. And then you still have to set up a time to talk to the person afterwards. And even then, more often than not, nothing becomes of it. But nobody complains, nobody sees this as an issue. Yet when somebody says, all right, here, put a couple of dollars on some ads, people groan about it. And again, naturally, it's because you see the money coming out. Now, This is not to say that the money is too much. It is to say that you haven't prioritized what's the most important thing. So one of the things that I talked about in series one is what you need to focus on before you hit a million. The only thing that needs to guide you is sales. So while you're spending money on, CRMs, your website, all this other stuff, a lot of people are making money right off of a Facebook page, right? You're spending money on creating this. I've known people who spend $12,000 creating a superb website and they haven't sold anything yet, right? And so the only thing that you need to be concerned with is sales. And when you get the sales, you can then use that money to reinvest and get all the other things that you need to get done. And so the thing is, you are already spending that money. The question is, should you be spending it on ads or not? And what is the value for your buck? All right. So now with an ad, what you have is that thing is working for you without, without you having to work, right? If I'm asleep, my ad is still being shown to more than the 10 people that I've met at this networking event, right? And what's more is, especially nowadays, is I am targeting people that are likely to want my stuff. I'm not just going in a room full of folks. I don't know whether or not they would be interested in what I'm looking for. I am targeting those people. And the algorithm itself is looking to improve on showing the ad to the people who are most important or most likely to buy it. Those are engaged leads. Again, all of this stuff is in the first part. And so please go out and watch it. What I want to do now is tell you about my process. All right. So the way that ads work is you have a certain amount of money that you pay if you're looking for people that you're trying to convert, right? So Facebook is going to, or YouTube is going to look to show that ad to people it thinks are likely to go onto your site and buy. They will charge you a lot more for that because it knows that you want these people to spend money. It'll charge you a lot more for that. So if you go out and put out an ad and you say, okay, I want this to do conversion, you may waste a lot of money. And this is the reason why a lot of people, don't like ads. They tried it before, they had no strategy whatsoever, and they didn't go anywhere. And as a result, they said, well, this doesn't work. Not necessarily. You have to actually have a strategy. So there are two prongs to my process. The first prong is getting your audience from cold leads to become warm leads. If you already have a warm lead, you're going to use the process for the warm. We'll get to that. If you don't have any warm leads or you're looking to create more warm leads, you're going to show what we call the power content to the cold audience. And these are a lot less expensive. This is just for awareness. You might want to get engagement. Facebook is not looking for people who are going to click on your ads. These are people who, habitually are like, hey, I'm going to comment on this, or hey, I'm going to watch it, right? And so these are a lot less expensive. And what you're going to do here is you're going to create the power content. It's a series of 3 videos that just tells your audience exactly what it is that they're going to get. Here's your process. It's essentially what I'm doing right now. So I can take this and create a power content with it, right? Now I would break my process down into 3 broad categories. And within those broad categories, I am going to create 3 videos. I'm going to make those videos 3 to 5 minutes long. Why 3 to 5 minutes? Well, 3 to 5 minutes is about the time in which 25 to 50% is a significant amount of time that if somebody sits there and watches that video, you know that that person is interested. All right. So what you're looking for is you're putting that out to the audience that you are targeting. You start off with a broad target. If you've never been to do an ad in Facebook, which we're going to do in the third section, you have to create an audience. And typically, it's a broad one. It's like, so for example, if I am an accountant and I'm looking to do business with people in the medical space, I might say, okay, these people would be interested in a EHR management software. This is a health records management software thing. And so it's going to give me all of those folks. This still doesn't mean that they are going to be interested in what I'm selling. The algorithm still has to do it, but it narrows it down somewhat. So it starts to show those to people who are in the medical space. All right. Hopefully everybody's following me. If you have any questions and you're not following, raise your hands, and then I will let you in. Okay. So what we're doing now, we're going to create our audience. We're going to now start to provide these 3 ads to the audience where it explains the process that you're going through. And the biggest, most important thing for anything that you're doing is you're going to now track, right? Anybody who is watching 25% or more, you are going to automatically create, Facebook's and YouTube allows you to do that, or create an audience of those people so that you show them the second part of the ad, which is the power offer. Now, this power offer is for the 2 to 3% of the folks who have been educated. You probably I'll tell you this. I bought these shoes from Instagram not too long ago. And I have I saw this ad so many times and I'm scrolling through. Nope, not ready to buy it yet. All right. But they know that I've sat there and I watched it. So they'll show it to me over and over again. And eventually I was like, you know what, I'm ready. And I bought it. So this is precisely what it is that you're doing with the power content. So the algorithm is going to show them the first video, it's going to show them the second video, and it's going to show them the third video, and you're watching and you're retargeting those folks with your power offer. And the power offer is what we're going to be creating today. How you create the power offer, and then I'll talk about how to create the power content. And then, we can start to put something together with a person who would like to go through the process. And the third part of the series, we'll attempt to put together an ad. If you don't want to pay for it yet, we don't have to actually go through with it. I'll just walk you through the entire process of putting the ad. All right. So I have to choose now who I am going to go with, who is interested in going through the process. Just raise your hands. All right, Tonda Bean, Wisdom in Minutes. You got it. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do, Tonda. I think you can write a note. Send me your email because I'm going to send you, I'm gonna add you to a folder where we can, and I think I also am going to be able to help let you share. So let's see, I am co-host. Must be a long email. I have one of those long emails as well. All right, here we go. tbean@wisdominminutes.com. All right. So this is exactly what I would do with my clients. And so, we meet via Zoom, just like this. And all right, share anyway. All right, and once you get that, hopefully you get it in a few minutes. Why did you send it directly to me, Tonda? You can come off mute. We're gonna be interacting at this point.
Okie doke.
Why did you send it directly to me and
Why
not
did I
to the
send it?
whole group? Yeah,
Oh, just have it.
gotcha.
I'm not sure what
Okay,
you wanted
so
to do.
and the reason I said it is because this is an example of the kind of things that I'm talking about with lead generation, right? Do
I
you
should
want
send it to
folks?
everyone.
What's that?
I said I should send it to everyone.
Exactly. You're like they're gonna know who you are. They're gonna know what you do, and why not send it to everyone? Maybe someone in the audience wants your product or service. So always and constantly be out here promoting. It doesn't matter what people are saying, just always and constantly like, here's what I do. And eventually it will accumulate. All right. And let me know if you when you've gotten it. And I
Okay.
want to say too that preferably this is the first time, and preferably this takes place over a couple of days. I introduced the process to you, and then you would have some time to think it through. We're not going to have as much time to do that. But you can, after this, you can refine a little bit, and then during the third part, when we do the actual ads, you can, you'll have something a lot better to go through, and you can reach out to me as well, from this week to next week, so that we can talk about and refine anything that you're looking to do. All right. Do you have the folder?
I have the folder. Yes, I do.
All right. If you don't mind sharing your screen, let's show
Okay.
everybody what you see.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on.
It's at the bottom. It should be
Got it. Got it.
green.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I like to start with is the pitch. So let's open that up.
Okay.
All right. So the pitch is what is typically known or as like your mission, right? And I wanted to, not only did I want to, but I also got this process from a book that I read called, not the process, but the idea, called, what is the name of this book? I recommend it to everyone. Uh, um, I'm drawing a blank on this book. I'll come back to it. But the idea here, I wanted to distinguish it from your typical mission because it's a little bit different, and it's also like it could get it's a loaded word. It has a lot of connotations for people when they hear mission. The pitch, if you go to the second slide, is it's
Mhm.
your big game, what you want to be known for, not even necessarily your business, but what you want to do. So this is mine, to empower Black people by helping each person grow and scale his or her genius. And I choose to do that
Yeah.
with business consulting, as a business consultant, right? There's a multiple different ways that I can do that. I choose to do that by helping people do leads, but this is my aim. And so when you have an aim, you are communicating to your potential client that this is not just, I'm not just here to make money, right? And I really do care about this process. This is why I will take the process that I'm doing with you seriously. And this is why it's not just a generalized thing. We are moving more and more into a society where folks want personalization, right?
Yes.
They want personalization because there are options, right? There are options for us now. There are a lot of options. And so back in the days, there were a few white men in general, right, with a few institutions for which they can communicate to everybody. And then there are a few of them, like, for example, like the consulting world, they have like the big five, right? And so that's where, all of the bigger companies go to, your Bains and things like that, right? And if you wanted to deal with this type of company, whether or not they were absolutely skilled, you had five options to choose from. Nowadays, people have a lot of skills and they can say, I do it precisely for you. I know exactly what your pains are and I can help you with it. And so, you know, coming in and telling people, this is what I do is a lot more attractive. You're like a magnet for these people. And so, let's see. Okay, it looks like you've thought about this a little bit.
Yes, I've been working at this.
Uh, okay, very good. To launch emerging adults into careers where they achieve both work satisfaction and financial independence from their parents. Awesome. Okay. This part is not necessarily, if we go to number 3, this part is not necessarily for this practice, but I included it because I like to build on what the idea here is. When you talk to someone, you want them, you want to distinguish yourself from like your typical profession. You want to you want to communicate why it is that someone should deal with you, and you want to communicate the mission in that, right? So an example I give here is someone talking about being an M&A consultant. So you'd say, so you're in a networking event, you're like, wait, what do you do? I'm an M&A consultant. We help businesses grow through acquisitions. You might hear something like that. And what I recommend instead, or the example is, I specialize in mergers and acquisitions. I help companies buy out competitors without using any cash. Many of my clients have doubled their revenue in a single deal. So you're adding some detail, you're adding some color here. The last sentence is, it adds a little bit of, social proof. This is what we've done. I have the track record, but the second sentence is where it is like, this is what we specialize in, competitors, helping you buy your competitors. We're not just here to merge. Like my job, what I think about is I am trying to help you buy your competitors, and you don't even have to use any cash to do it. If one of like if I haven't thought about getting rid of the of my competitors, and I'm like, wow, this is that a possibility? I can get rid of my competitor by buying them out. Or if I have thought about it, like buying something and I don't have any cash to do it, this is another thing that's going to attract your ideal client, right? It's going to be like, all right, well, we can do this without you buying any cash as well. You're doing a great job. It's always a little anxiety inducing when you're typing and people are watching
Thank you.
you.
Okay,
All right.
that's what I got for the moment.
Okay, very good. So anything that we put together is always living. In fact, in business, whatever documents that you put together is should be considered living, meaning it should shift. You should go test it in the market. The one thing that um, you must do is to go and test it and use it, see how it works, tweak it. So you put it together based on what you think. And this is the same thing with the whole process that we're going to go through. You put something together based on what you think is going to work, and you start to refine it as you're getting feedback. And that's what tracking is all about. Now, this is one of the reasons I although we do business plans, just to get an idea, I think more than anything, what you need to focus on when you do a business plan is what the competitors are doing. It's always important. Like the best artists, they copy first, right? So what are your competitors doing? And then you want to do what your ideal clients are looking for, if you can find that information. A lot of times you have to be in the market before you get real information. The stuff you find on Google, Chat GPT now, those are generic. And once once the rubber hits the road, things are going to shift. And so, definitely go out and test this out. You want to say it in the mirror so that it sounds good. What you're looking for is for people to be intrigued and to ask you some more questions about it. Not enough time to delve deeply into this, but I definitely like the first sentence. Strategic parenting coach. I like that you're focusing on the person who ultimately is going to buy this, right? Career explanation, strategic parenting coach. I'd be very interested in what that means. Strategic parenting. What does that mean? So yes, very good job here. Let me see. Okay, sounds good. We'll work with this. Now let's go back to the folder.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. All right, so I'm going to quickly show you the ideal client exercise, but we're not going to use that. It's a little bit more in depth. I would, if you have time, let's see how much. Yeah, if you have time, maybe we'll do the first three, but I'll go through each of the slides here. So let's go to the second slide. This is your basic demographic information. This is what most people typically will have with respect to marketing. It's something that you can easily and quickly look up. Let's go down one. Okay, dream client. So I have examples here for you. So you would delete the ones in the bottom on the blue side, and you would put your own example here. So the pain that your clients feel, and this is not necessarily anything that's new, right? If you have not thought about this is an exercise that makes you think about it. That's the intention, right? And what we want to get to with respect to the pain is not the surface level stuff. This is, let's say, for example, you're in the fitness industry and someone says, well, I want to lose weight, right? That might be the pain. But perhaps the pain that they're truly feeling is, feeling rejection, feeling that no one, they can't get a date, for example. And your ideal client, if you know that this is the type of person you're aiming for, the way you market to that person is going to be different than the person who is getting fit because they had a heart attack at one point, right? That person is like, you would market to them, to the heart attack person, by talking about health. And the things you would offer in your offer to them would be more health related. You would pair things with health related stuff as opposed to like aesthetic stuff. So this is understanding this type of thing, the more deep issues with your client is one of the things that you want to get to when you do this exercise. Oh, shoot, I'm clicking. All right, go to 4. In the same way, so that was their desire. So the pain in the same way, and this is like the opposite side of the coin, right? So there are some people who are running away from something, right? That's the pain. And then there are people who are running towards something, right? And so this is the other side of that. And you want to make sure that you're speaking to the deeper things, right? Like I don't just want to make money. I want to give back to my mother who, put me through school and all this other stuff. This is what I'm aiming to do. How you communicate with that person is different than somebody who is, like what they call a shark. It's like just looking for money. So understanding this about your ideal client, and again, we're talking about personalization because it is a very, very difficult thing for entrepreneurs to hone in because entrepreneurs are doers, right? We're not sitting here just sitting like there's a possibility for me to make more money, and this person is saying they want what I'm offering, and I'm not doing anything about it. And so I want to say that there is a difference between turning down someone if you have the time. And by the time, that's also very important. The time means that once you take on that client, it's not going to take away from the other things that you have to do to go in deep, to build depth, right? It's not, okay, I have the time because I don't have another client that I can service. Like, all right, I also have marketing to do. I have the sales, I have a whole, admin to do, all of this other stuff. And so if you have the time, it doesn't mean you reject the money. It just means that how you focus and who you're going after needs to be the client that is your ideal client. All right, let's go to 5. Okay, then you talk about how your product or service will help them achieve their core desires. Let's quickly go to 6. And so this part 6, 7, and 8, those are, they should work like sort of like in conjunction with the top ones, right? This is where if you currently have clients, because everything that you're doing right now is abstract if you have no clients. You're assuming this is who you like. And then once you start to get clients, it's like, oh, I thought these are the people that I would like. And it's like, oh my God, I hate these people. I don't want to work with them at all. But if you have if you have some clients and you can gauge the ones that tend to do well with you, then that's one of the ways that you can determine, who the clients are. And then you go back up to the top and say, all right, here's how they tend to think, here are their pains and things of that nature. All right. Just scroll down all the way to the end. I think it's slide 17. These are just some questions that help you determine who your best clients are and who you want to work with. Very fundamental stuff. Okay, so these areas here are the kind of things that's going to help you create your audience in Facebook later, right? So it's the thing that I was talking about, like they tend to be looking for a certain type of software. So if I'm looking for entrepreneurs, I might be looking for those who are interested in QuickBooks. If I'm looking for people who are looking, if I'm in HR, maybe I'm looking for folks who are looking at Gusto or paychecks, things like that. So it's like the places that they might visit so that you can know how to create your audience later on. Okay, let's go back to the folder and start to do some stuff. Let's go to the worksheet of self-discovery. This is now the creation of your power offer. All right, so let's scroll down here. I'm going to, since you didn't have time to read this, I'm just going to quickly tell you. All right, here's the one. So what I want you to do here is you want to list the top 3 desires of your market. So the parents, and in this case, what do they want here? So this is an example of someone who is creating what is called a sales funnel. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's like basically like, it's another lead generation type of software. So this is, some examples of what their desires might be. So write your top 3. Okay. Good. All right. Thank you for that. So for those of you who are just joining now, and just for a reminder for everyone, so the power offer is what is one of the two types of ads that we put out. There's the one that's the power content, where it's essentially like education, trying to figure out who is interested, and then the power offer for those people that you're going to retarget, that you know are interested, and you're going to give them an offer that they can't refuse, or they will find difficult to refuse. And it's basically like, here's the thing that I'm going to offer you, and this is how you're going to create that offer, and so that you can just say to them and say, hey, do you want it? That kind of thing. All right. So mission to good college. All right. So before we go, okay, all of those are good. So, okay. So, you know, again, I would have more time to go over this, and none of these are necessarily bad. Um, and the only hesitation I have right now is, you know, being specific about the message. So, and all of this may work. So we have to get to the end to get there, but I just wanted to voice it right now. So the children to be happy, independent adults, work satisfaction, long term seems very remote as compared to colleges. And I don't know precisely what it is
Mm-hmm.
that you do, but you know, it may be something that creates some kind of dissonance in the minds of the folks. So, as we put this together, we just need to be mindful that what we're offering ultimately has to feel like, okay, this is what I'm getting now, and this is exactly what I want now. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll come back to that. This is an iterative process. All right. Let's go to number 2. Why
That's
aren't
good.
they able to get? Did you want to ask or say something?
No, no.
Okay. Number 2. Why aren't they able to get that desire? Okay. What are some obstacles in their way that would cause them to, not get the 3 things that they're looking for?
Okay. Here we go.
All right. So I want to say one thing, and then I want to ask you to highlight the biggest things. So one of the things that I want here is something that is sort of a burden, right? So these are pains, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
A burden is, so for example, I don't have the time to go through and figure out what all these colleges are, right? So this is part of like number 2, right? I don't have any idea what a good college is. So how would I solve that? Well, I have to spend the time to go and do this. I don't have the time, energy, inclination, whatever, to go and do this,
Okay.
right? And so what you're looking for here when you're creating this offer is you want to relieve those things, right? So I want to relieve all the things that are obstacles for you to get what you want. I want to say in my offer, I'm going to take that away from you, so you don't have to do it, right? If you think about what people are looking for, is they're looking for least amount of work and commitment. This is why you go from a DIY, do it yourself, to a do it for you, right? Everything that you're doing, you could probably go and learn and do it yourself, but it's like I don't want to have to go through all that. So I'm gonna hire somebody else to do it. So what are all those things that are there that I can say, you know, you don't even have to do any of that. We'll do all of that for you in this offer. So that is such a good offer. You're like, I gotta take. This is what we're looking for here.
Okay. So I'm really in the do it with you
Mm,
phase because this is something the kids are going to be working on this till they graduate college,
yeah.
but they don't know the process. They have no idea of the process they should be going through.
Hmm.
They go, well, Uncle Uncle Joe is an accountant and he's happy, so I'll be an accountant.
Yeah. So
And
so
it
so
has no bearing.
so two things about that. First and foremost, you don't have anything here that is not correct. It's just how you're phrasing it, and we'll get to that a little later. It's instead of
Mhm.
it's how you're going to tell them you remove the obstacle from them. So instead you're going to phrase it such that the obstacle is removed. And also be mindful of who your ultimate clients are or who's going to pay, right? Not the people you work with, but who you have to, convince to buy your product. So
Right.
it's not that the kids that you're doing it with the kids, it's that you're taking the issues away from the parents. Yes. So for example, here you're saying they have no real life exposure career possibilities. And so, perhaps what it is, hey, without you having to teach your kids what real life, career possibilities are, or these are the types of obstacles that you want to, like the pains that the parents have to go through without you, for example, like I know as a parent, like you get to the point when you're dealing with teenagers that they don't want to listen to you anymore. It's like, oh my God, here we go
Right.
again. Right. So one of the things that you might put in here is without you having to we will take away the resistance to you,
Yeah.
right? The
That
resistance
that's the
that
big
you're
thing that I'm
yeah.
going for. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And so also be mindful that this is how you also help yourself think about what your offer should be. So as you're thinking about this, the thing that immediately comes to my mind is who would kids listen to? Well, they'll listen to other kids. So if you have, in your offer, this is not necessarily something you would put in here, but in your offer, when you're talking to them, you would say, one of the things that we have is we have, past graduates of my program come in and talk to the kids about this type of stuff. So that's something that you can add as part of your offer to sweeten it. And so that's how you need to think about that as well. All right, let me see how much time. All right, we're good. Keep on going down.
Okay.
All
What
right.
position?
Okay. Okay. So this right here is again the personalization, but it's also the qualification. You want to qualify some of your clients because a lot of what happens when you start to put ads out is everybody's like me too, me too, me too, but then you run into folks who can't afford it. So that's a potential problem, right? Like that a lot of people run into. It's like, okay, well, I want to filter out those folks who aren't ready to pay, or I want to filter out people who are not committed, like they're not going to show up and that sort of thing. So, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, that's interesting. Right. So that may work. We'll probably have to work on the ad copy because ultimately this is what we're going to create, right? But and there are multiple ways that you can do this too. Like some people will outright say this is not for people who want free. Like, and then the other thing it would be like, hey, if you make above a certain amount, that kind of thing, and you could do it either in the ad copy, you could also do it in applications, right? Once they say they're interested, you say, hey, come through and apply to my program, and then you ask them their, you know, um, their income level, and you can start to filter that way as well.
Okay.
That's interesting. Why is that a qualifier?
A lot of people feel like, well, I've got the school and that's all I need. That's all my child needs is that school. I send them to school,
Mm,
they're educated.
mhm,
And they don't realize that public school, the government, if you're in government housing,
mhm,
you could be you're in subsistence housing. You're not
mhm.
in flourishing housing. You're not in the best neighborhood in the
Yeah,
whole town. If
yeah,
you're on government assistance for food, you're not getting the most wonderful food you could possibly get. You're not going to shop at Whole Foods.
mhm,
Okay.
yeah,
If you're in public school, people act like that's all you need. And that's
mm,
not the way it goes. You don't get
yeah,
the absolute best of everything from the
mm,
public school. You need to add on to it to get your child to flourish. So if you
gotcha.
don't understand that you need to add on, then you're gonna look at me like people look at me like I'm a shyster, like I'm really trying to uh sell them something that's really stupid and ridiculous because
Yeah,
they are so wedded to the idea that all I need is available at that public school.
yeah,
But the counselors at public school do not take time with your child. They have 300 to 500 kids. They're not working with your child individually. They're not interested in it. The school it has the goal of graduation,
mhm,
and that's it.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
graduate, you're a success. Next question. We can help you get to the next school. They do not talk about your career, which is the ultimate thing that parents need.
yeah,
The other
absolutely.
thing parents need to understand the difference between the school's goals and their goals.
Yeah, very good. And so all of this is good in terms of, and could be used in different ways. So in this one, the purpose of it is intended to get you to figure out how to, zero in on your target and exclude those that you don't want. But the process in and of itself is good because you start to think about ways that you can educate, which is not necessarily for the power offer itself. Because in this case, in what you're targeting, um, I especially in this example, and things are going to be different depending on your business, but especially in this example, I feel, and without knowing more, you probably have to, tell me a little bit more about how you're currently talking to the people you're talking to. But I feel like the people who would see your ad and even think to do this are people who are thinking that it's more than graduation, right? Like the people who would want this, who would be like, yes, I'm going the 2 to 3%. They are people who are likely like, because if they think you're shysters, they're not thinking about, how I'm going to get my kid to the best schools, right? So 2 to 3% in this case
Right.
is probably going to not, you're probably not going to have to exclude those people because they're going to be excluded by the very nature of this ad, right?
Yeah.
But in your power content potentially, this is an area where you can put it in where it's more what they call top of the funnel. Like the top of the funnel is broad, so it's taking in as many people and then it's filtering and filtering them through until you get the people who want to buy. So in that case, you might say, hey, you know what? Let me tell you what happens when you don't consider the quality of the schools that you're getting, like, and what it means for the future of your children. Even for example, generational wealth, all that good stuff.
Hmm.
So the way that you put it out in the education is also going to be important. All right. but that's good. All right, let's move to number 4.
Okay.
So again, these are people who already know. They're probably thinking about this type of stuff. They've probably thought, I don't know how early you start to look at it, but like if they're the types of parents who are looking into SAT prep and all that good stuff. But if they've already thought about this stuff, what do they know about what do they know about this process already?
What do they know or think they know?
Yeah.
Both.
They know there's some things that need to be done. They're not sure all the things that need to be done.
Hmm.
They also know that college is very expensive.
Hmm.
Mm. Okay, so they know these things. Um, what they don't know is that you need to decide your career in order to get the most out of college. That's the thing that they don't know.
Okay.
And they don't realize that you should start trying to get that career direction even before high school, if you can, a very broad direction.
Very good. And so these are also very good pieces to have. This would go into your power content, these two last ones, and or could go. How you do your power content is going to be up to you. But these are two things that you could put into the power content. And let me ask you about this because this is going to be helpful in terms of knowing who your ideal client is and doing what is called a dog whistle, which is, when you call this group out, you write it in such a way that the only people who would look are the people that you're looking at, right? And when you call out their name, they're like, nobody else is going to respond. So so for example, what I'm thinking about in my head based on what you said with respect to when this process begins, especially if you want to get really narrowed in, it would be something like parents of pre-teens, or that would probably be a little too early, but like parents of middle school
Mhm,
students. Like,
mhm,
are you a parent of a middle school student? So
mhm.
now the folks, and yes, it does mean that the parents of high school students who may be able to use your services are are going to think it's not them. But the ones who are middle school students are definitely going to be like, okay, that's me. And don't worry, because what you do once the word starts getting out, because what you want to do more than anything is be the magnet for the folks. Like, now that I know that you are looking for parents of middle school students, I'm not going to send anybody away. I'm like, oh, you deal with middle school students? All right, I know a person who only deals with middle school students. They know exactly how to deal with middle school students, right? I'm sending it to you because you're the one who specializes in this. And also now, this is something that so there is this woman who does consulting. It's like money consulting, and she targets only women. And because someone was talking about what she does, I was like, well, there's no reason why I can't use this too because I'm not a woman. It applies to both folks. And so it doesn't mean that others won't come to you. It just means that what you're doing is quickly and efficiently getting as many clients as you can. So, all right, let's go down.
I'm also what I've come to, I've been working with different groups. What I've come to also is that some of the parents who are most receptive
Mm.
are parents who are not educated in the American system
I was thinking the exact same thing.
because they understand that they don't know all the things. And
Yeah.
the people who are educated here think they know all the things.
Mhm.
And I have to start working with them to, say, hold on, you're not looking at this,
Mhm.
the way you're looking at it, you're not seeing that there exist things like a school to prison pipeline.
Yeah.
There
And
exist things like the achievement gap. And because these things exist, it's clear they're not actually trying to do the best thing for you.
And you have to determine whether or not you want to go that specific too and see whether or not that market is good. But I would say that is like not only because of they don't they know that they don't know, but because you're looking at a group of people who are ambitious and are making the move primarily because of their families, right? It's like,
Yes.
this is why I'm here. I'm going to go work, whatever. I may have been a doctor where I am. I'm here for opportunities so that the next generation can get it done. So these are people who are looking for this type of information. As an
Right.
immigrant, I know for sure. So yes, so you might want to, if you want to go in and say, are you I don't know exactly, I don't know if we want to go immigrant, are you, but whatever the term would be,
Foreign-born.
that would foreign-born parent of a middle school student, right? Now the question is, is that market, big enough or for you? But these are the types of people who would likely, pay for this stuff.
What if I just say college bound?
Sure. The thing again, I want to repeat this. This is once you put this together, it's not the end. Just like, the school you're in is not the end. You have now got to see what the response is, right? And so that's the idea, is like you're going to go and tweak it. And and this is something I said in the previous part too. The idea here is that feedback, the feedback, the information that you get back is so important. People are looking for money. And what you're looking for initially is the formula. Because once you have the formula, you're printing money, right? Every time I put this out, everyone is responding to it, and I get this number of clients. So now when you know that, it's like, well, how many times do I need to put this out? Right? Because I want to make this amount of money, and I know every time I put it out once, I get one client. So and I want to make 300 times that. Let me put it out 300 times more. So that's where you're trying to get to, is the formula. So you're tweaking until you get the formula. All right, let's go down. All right. Okay, what they're buying from you. Let me see how much time we have, okay, we have a half an hour. I think we might be able to get to one. All right, so what are they buying from you? You're just gonna type like you know, what they get. So this is specific, like say, all right, you're going to get I don't know exactly what would be in your program. Okay. And as you're writing this, and for everyone else here, you're not necessarily going to use all of this. This is a exercise that helps you come up with pieces that you can add to ultimately create your offer. You may not necessarily add all of it together. If you get something together that works, it's like perfect. And then you're going to use bits and pieces of different things as you're tweaking to write your best offer that people are responding to.
what else do I put in there? I do network communities, culture, and oh, we do an academic plan. Okay. I get them out there to start actually holding positions. So they start to utilize there's volunteer hours that you're supposed to get in almost every state in the union. There are volunteer hours required as part of your high school graduation. A lot of people do that as a check the box exercise, but if you actually can do something that ties to the career you want, you can use it for exploration and start learning who does what do they call that, starting skill building. Yes, and all of that. So that's what I'm getting them to understand that they have the opportunity to do, and I get them to use their volunteer hours differently, start pursuing internships and small jobs, and start using all that to do resume building and writing.
Okay. Okay. When we put the ad together, ways that we can, craft this, wordsmith it. But yes, getting the idea here is good. Right. Okay. Okay. Keep going.
Mhm.
Okay.
So some of
All
those
right.
are topics of workshops. It's a series of workshops.
Okay. Mhm. Yep. You know, we'll work through exactly how you would put that out so you can communicate exactly what it is that you get. So the idea here, um, is you want to put out something. So in the other, the ideal client, I guess Google's PowerPoint or whatever they call that I have there, there is a slide where you go through and think about, what you would give your clients if you had like 1/10 of the resource, or they paid you 1/10 of the amount, and then what you would give them and still make it valuable, and what you would give them if they could pay you 10 times the amount. The idea here is what you're putting in to your offer, if it could seem to anyone like it's a no-brainer. So one of the things that we say is, like, say somebody offered you a Lamborghini for $10,000. Like, you may
Yes.
not be interested in Lamborghini. You're buying that Lamborghini because you're looking at the value compared to the price you're paying. It's like, I know what I'm gonna get for this. So you want to try as much as possible to make it seem like, I'm getting all of this for this amount. I mean, I'm coming in. I mean, there's only so much that you can do, but it helps you to try to think about that. So this is the idea about with this one as well. All right. All right. Who and what is your common competition?
Okay. And this is from the viewpoint of the parents. They see the competition as the high school counselors.
Okay, that's good.
That's who they see as my primary competition.
Mm,
And then there are also some free community programs.
mm. The internet.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But most of these people they don't get to the kid. What I'm doing is the big thing that I do that they don't do is get to the kid and get the
Mm,
kid to
gotcha.
understand that they need to do this for themselves.
Mm,
Nobody can do this for you. And what I tell them is this is an ice cream shop experience. You can do eeny meeny, for choosing your career, or you can go at it like an ice cream shop.
Yeah.
And if you go into an ice cream shop, you're always sampling. You don't just go by the name of the ice cream and say, oh, I'll take that. If you've never tasted that ice cream, you go in and you say, can I try that? Can I try that? Can I try that? And you figure out the one you like best, and that's the one you go for. That's the one you invest in. But it is very personal. You don't get your mother to try them all and tell you which one you want. You go do it yourself.
Yeah.
Which that approach, that idea gets them thinking, oh, I need to do this.
Yeah. All right.
And that's the piece that's not there for the internet or the high school counselors.
Gotcha. All right, let's scroll up a little bit because I feel like we skipped something, like what they get, the results they get.
Okay. Back. Let me see.
No, not too much. Let's see. What does your customer do differently? Okay, I think it's this one, number 2. Let's see. Go down a little bit. Yes. So what does it do for your customers?
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Okay. Okay. So it motivates.
Mm.
Is everybody calling me at the same time? Okay. Motivate students, puts the onus on them and then what I do is give them a process.
Mm.
And then we shift the parent from being the authority telling them to being an assistant.
Karen said nothing will motivate those parents more than to see their kids engaged. I completely agree.
Yes.
Yes. When they're out there and they're coming back and telling you what they're doing and they're excited, very big.
So there's several things that I'm doing. Some of it is relational and some of it is process oriented because kids don't have this process. Nobody's sharing this process. And the schools are focused on getting you to the next level of school, that you're graduating and you're going into college. And they don't say, in fact, they just give you a little test, and if you take this test and maybe you pay attention and maybe you don't, but that test is all you get in the way of career exploration. They say, okay, test said you could be a whatever, test said you could be a mechanical engineer if you want. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So let's get you into a mechanical engineering program. But there's not the do you like that? Have you tried that? Have you talked to some? Did you work in an office with some mechanical engineers and see how their day goes?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Getting them to go out there and sample it.
Yeah. Nice.
So they can know. And all this stems from my own experience because I started as a chemical engineer one day in a chemical engineering plant. I realized I didn't want it. I want them to have that day before they start paying for chemical engineering education or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And I bet there are many parents who've had similar experiences. They started in one career and ended up doing something else. So speaking that could be part of your power content. Speaking about that too. Again, depending on who it is that you're going for, right? And how you think you would speak their language. But yes.
Okay.
All right, let's scroll down. Let's see what I'm doing. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Okay. Go down a little bit more. I want to see if I can get you to actually. All right, all right. I think we've already. So I'm going to skip the last one because I think there are elements of how you're unique. Um, in that. So let's go here. These are examples, so you can start to write your power offer here. But let's read the examples,
Okay.
so give you a sense of.
Go up. Back here.
Yep, right here. Perfect. So. Tired of being the best kept secret in the industry. This does not really do the real. Let's go up a little. Let's do example one.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the call out that I'm looking for. Where you would, you've already written down to like, are you a parent of a, are you a foreign born parent or are you a parent? Like you can have multiple ones because you're gonna test them. But you can choose one, and then you're going to ask a yes or no question. If I offered to give you, you know, counseling, so
Wow.
not sure exactly how you're going to put it. If I offered to give you a program that for your a college prep program, something to that effect that does this. So this is where you're thinking about the benefit. It does this without you having to go through and do all of this, right? This is where we were coming in and
Okay.
putting all this in. Would you take me up on that offer? You want to ask them a yes or no question because this is a
Okay.
group of
Okay.
3% who are already looking for this. And then you want to, once you do that, you want to give a little bit of, here's why I am qualified to speak about this here. And then
Okay.
you say, I can help you too. Let me see how much time we have. We may have to, okay, we have 15 minutes. So let's try to see if we can create something with that.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. So,
And again, this is, don't feel like this has to be the final thing. We're just putting something together right now. We can tweak.
okay.
No, let's start with the offer. Like if I offered you to do this, so you're gonna put a yes or no question.
Okay. That would.
Yeah. Mhm.
Hmm, okay. Um. hmm, um,
Let's do a without with this one. So um mhm, nice. Would you take me
okay.
up on that offer? All right. And we'll skip the part where you know, do your brag. This is why I'm the best type of thing, that any results that you have in the past. If you haven't had much results specifically here, if like you're new, you know, you can also speak about like generally speaking why this type of thing works, you know, especially if you
I have some clients. I've had clients.
okay. So yeah, I mean, and this is not just generally for you, this is for everybody who's
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
too, who's thinking, okay, I'm new to this space, I don't
Hmm.
have anything. So you just, you know, put something here, like this is a
Yeah.
proven system, that kind of thing. Okay, what I want to do with the rest of the minutes is so this is you know, try to perfect that again. You know, let me put my email address down. We can speak a
Okay.
little more
Okay.
if you need some assistance before the next meeting, everyone meeting.
Okay.
Because
So,
this typically takes place over at least 2 to 3 meetings. Okay.
so can I stop share at this point?
Yes, I'll share now.
Okay.
Let me show the next piece is the power content.
Okay.
All right. So if you are inclined, you don't have to do this because um, what I can do is pretend you have a power content. But if you want to try to put out an ad, that you know, then we can actually put out the ad. But you know, during the next session, I will show you exactly how to put an ad together in Facebook,
Okay.
and you know what you're going to be looking for in terms of how you're tracking that kind of information for the power content, and then you know, putting the audience together and how you're going to retarget based on the audience that you put together. So we'll go over that the next session. There are multiple other things that are part of this too, right? If you have a website, I don't know if you're familiar with the idea of pixels. Um, there are little pieces of code that you put on your website where you can tell who's visited the website, who's been on different parts of the website. If you have an application, it shows you who's been there. So that those sorts of things as well. We're not going to be able to go over that. Um, but yes, there are multiple different pieces of this. But if you simply have a Facebook page, you put out an ad, you can put out applications through a Facebook page, you can put out applications through a Google page. Like ultimately, what you want is clients. You don't have to go out and spend everything. And when you have clients who are like, yes, this works, you put that in your testimonials. That is the biggest thing that you can get is testimonials for people to be like, well, I mean, it works for those people. She must know she's doing. Let's go. All right. So again, what you're going to do is 3 to 5 minutes long, and this is available to you so you can go back and read it. You put the headline, who this is for. This is again your dog whistle. The promise of value. Okay, over the next 5 minutes. If you're doing 3 minutes, it's going to be 3 minutes. So it's 3 to 5 minutes. I'm going to walk you through my process for doing A, B, and C. Now, this is typically how you want to do it, especially if you have a process, but you can also do it where you're speaking to what um, the ideal client is likely to sit and listen to, right? So what the intention of this here is you want to speak to something that when these people are looking at it, you know that they're interested in your program. This is why we would typically say you know, you would just break down your program into the different pieces. But and that's just a formula, a formula for you to know what to talk about. But if you can come up with something where it's like, okay, you know, I'm talking about for example, all the different pieces that we talked about, like going into a career and finding out it's the wrong one. All the different pieces that we put in there, if you can find a way to put that in, and the people who would sit and listen to that would work as well for you to do this. Then, um, so you want to also give something valuable away if you can. um, valuable, again, value is very important, because what you want to do is, well, for two reasons. One is you want to get leads, right? If you give something of value away, people are like, if you showcase something. So here's an example of this. I don't know one that would work for you, but an example of this is, I work with an accountant, and he deals with medical professionals, as I mentioned earlier. And one of the things that medical professionals deal with all the time is how to get paid from the insurance payers, right? And so they have like discrepancies in who pays them what from the different insurances, how they get paid for different procedures. And so one of the things that he does is he puts together a spreadsheet where he outlines all the different payments, and shows how you can show the discrepancy when you've analyzed everything, and he can give you that spreadsheet so you can just input the information in there. So then as he's talking about his process, he would showcase that in the video, and then say, hey, I can provide this for you. All you have to do is say, I want it, right? And you also say this in your ad copy so that the people are like, okay, well, I definitely want this thing. And what you're trying to get here is engagement. Because that's the second most important thing, right? Is getting the people to start having conversations. You want them to see it first, you want them to watch it, but you also want people to start having, if they've taken that step, it's another level of interest. And you also want to start having conversations. This is how relationships are built. This is how you eventually get them to, to convert over to client. This, another thing that I want to stress, is that leads generation is a cumulative process. You have people who have reached out to somebody for, and this is why they say this and we don't understand it, or it doesn't necessarily resonate as much as it should, is the follow-up, right? The follow-up is not just like, like you were talking about checking a box. It's more like people take time to get there. Like when you feel like you've been rejected, it's not necessarily because you've been rejected. People are going through their own stuff. They're not at the stage yet. And so you want to have conversations. You want to build trust. There is this thing that said it takes 7, 11, 4, like 7 activities, 11 conversations in 4 different places or something like that. I know I've got it completely right, but look it up, 7, 11, 4. The idea here is you want to have multiple interactions. And when you start to have these types of interactions on Messenger, on the video that they've already seen, if you also put out free content everywhere, that's when you're starting to build the trust. So what you're doing here is starting to give something away so that your people are showing commitment and also helping you to have conversations. Okay, then you do your brag. Again, this is who I am. This is why it is that I do what I do really well. Then you repeat the promise, the value. And because people forget, these are the 3 things that you are going to be talking about. And that's it. This is how your copy, this is essentially your copy, your ad copy. The video is just the video. These are the things you're going to be talking about in your video. So however you break it down, then you have 3 of those videos. So if you choose, you can choose to do the copy itself. You can choose to do the video. Next week we'll show you exactly how to put it out. And that's it. Any questions? Because we are at 1:26 and we have 4 minutes, but any questions for me? Tanda first.
This is great. This is great stuff. Thanks so much. I need to know how to access the recording of the first one.
Yes, so that should be on so when I first recorded, it was live and in person and it didn't record. So I went back and recorded it. The sound is not great, but if you put it up, you should be able to hear it. But I did put, let me stop sharing because I did put it on the notes here.
I'll put it in the chat again.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
That thing you just worked through with her,
Mhm.
can we get a copy of that?
Yes. Yes, I can definitely send that to you.
If that's okay with you, Conda.
Anyone else? Anything else? Okay, I hope that no questions mean that, I was very clear in my explanation and you know what to do.
Mac, our third and final session is, I'm looking at my calendar here. Man, right month. Today was the generation. Actually, next Wednesday at
Excellent.
12 o'clock. So what will that last final session entail?
Is
That
that
final,
Wednesday or Tuesday?
I'm sorry, Tuesday. Tuesday at
okay,
12 o'clock.
Okay.
awesome. So that final session, we will look at Tanda's copy, and if she has video content, we'll put together her ad for Facebook, or we'll take her through the process of creating the ad for Facebook and show you exactly how that gets done. And we'll talk about the KPIs that you need to be on the lookout for.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. I want to do. I want to hear about the ad placement.
Absolutely.
I want to hear
I
everything, but I'm especially excited about hearing about this ad placement.
let's do it.
Karen, you had your hand up. Nope.
I was saying bye.
Okay.
Good session. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much, Mac. Melissa, can you stay on for a second?
Okay.